You can train for months, you can follow your training plan religiously, you can nail every long run, but, and it's a big but, you can be completely blindsided by marathon race day, by things that you weren't expecting or prepared for or didn't even know existed as a thing. Your first marathon is going to be emotional, confusing, overwhelming, incredible, and at times absolutely brutal. And I guess this video is a video I wish somebody had made for me before I started my first marathon, because I remember after finishing it thinking, why didn't anybody tell me about this stuff? I'm going to start this one off by saying, if you're just about to run your first ever marathon, don't feel that you have to have a goal finish time. When I did my first marathon, I wish somebody had told me not to run it for a time, run it to finish. I set off on my merry way in that first marathon with a target time of 4 hours, 30 minutes. I had a good training block, or so I thought. I did a couple of good long runs. So I set off with 4:30 constantly in my mind. And the marathon was me pretty much looking at my watch every 5-10 minutes, looking at the pace, looking at my predicted finishing time. And when I crossed the finishing line, I finished in 4 hours, 45 minutes, so 15 minutes off my goal time. And it kind of took the shine off my first ever marathon. It kind of made me feel disappointed. Whereas I think every marathoner's number one goal should be to finish, especially beginner marathon runners. Finishing a marathon is an extraordinary achievement. So don't think that when you're just about to run your first marathon, you have to have a goal time in mind. Run it for the experience. And you know what? In my second marathon, 6 months later, I did exactly that. I wasn't concerned about goal times. I wasn't concerned about pace. And I actually finished 45 minutes quicker than my first ever marathon. Oh, the marathon start line, the start area, the 5 or 10 minutes before you're meant to set off. It can be quite a chaotic environment. It can be both exciting and nerve-wracking. There's a lot going on at the marathon start area. It's going to be loud, there's going to be music, announcers are going to be screaming, fellow runners are going to be chatting nervously amongst themselves, the crowd will be starting to cheer. And there's a lot visually going on too. There'll be lights, fireworks, and you'll be stood there watching other runners do their dynamic stretches and taking selfies. And while all this chaos is going on, you're meant to get yourself ready. And if you've never been in this type of environment before, with other runners mingling around, getting ready to run a race, it can be quite overwhelming. But what I would say is, give yourself a couple of minutes to compose yourself, to relax, to become present. Remind yourself of why you're there, all of your training that you've done. Give yourself a moment just to go through your mantras and your whys and your goals for marathon day. You've got to get yourself mentally and physically prepared. You'll be making sure you've got your energy gels and your hydration. You'll be setting up your running watch, making sure you're connected to GPS and making sure your Bluetooth is connected to your headphones. So make sure you have this all under control. So stay calm. You don't want to start the marathon realizing you're not started your watch or you haven't got GPS signal. So give yourself a couple of minutes just to really focus on you. Embrace the noise and the sounds and the lights and the other runners, but don't let that ruin your preparation for your marathon. You may be looking at other runners thinking that they look fitter or stronger or better prepared. They're not. And if you're feeling nervous or apprehensive, I can absolutely guarantee you that every other runner around you will be feeling exactly the same. And you've just been to the loo and you may be thinking, why do I need to go again? That is just adrenaline. Your heart rate may be higher than normal. Your breathing may feel weird. Don't worry. As soon as you cross that start line, things will begin to settle. So embrace the start area. Do your high fives. Get ready for your big day, but don't get carried away. Because what we don't want is for you to start the marathon too fast. In my first marathon, something really weird happened. I think it was around about the 8 kilometer mark. My mind started to sort of freak out, and I guess this was because of the adrenaline drop, the buzz and the excitement of the start line was 30, 40 minutes away. And I began to notice absolutely everything in terms of my body. Every sort of sensation felt bigger. Every niggle, I could sort of feel everything in my muscles. And I was thinking, I didn't feel like this on any of my long runs. Why now? And my legs felt pretty heavy. I remember looking at my heart rate thinking, is this higher than normal? It feels higher than normal. My breathing was a little bit higher than normal. And I remember I was constantly thinking and overthinking about my pace, about the distance I'd already done. And I was wondering, why am I feeling like this? It's only 8 kilometers in. I shouldn't be feeling like this. What's up? What's wrong? Why am I not ready? And I think it's a combination of a couple of things. Like I say, I think it's adrenaline, the adrenaline drop, and just the sheer realization that this is the marathon, this is the race that you've been preparing for many months. It isn't just another training run. It isn't just a long run. This is a long run with a really, really big prize at the end. So don't be too concerned that if around about the 8 or 10 kilometer mark, you start to notice signals from your body. This is just your body and your mind's way of getting you ready and used to the marathon race rhythm. Give it a few minutes, give it a few extra kilometers, and everything will settle. Your heart rate will start to stabilize, your breathing will start to regulate, and your body kind of stops fighting and just starts flowing. So my name is Paul, 11-time marathon runner, and we're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers on this channel by the end of 2025. So if this video has helped you in any way, subscribe to the channel. Give this video a thumbs up and give us a comment down below. Let us know where you're running your next marathon, and is it your first marathon? Fueling is the biggest killer in a marathon, especially for first-time marathoners. In my first marathon, I remember I had a plan. I had a plan that I would take energy gels at the 45-minute mark. That was my plan. And when I set off, I think I stuck to that plan maybe for the first hour, hour and a half. So I took an energy gel every 45 minutes. And then afterwards, I started to think, actually, I don't feel too bad. I don't feel tired. I don't feel fatigued. I don't feel hungry. So I actually skipped a couple of times where I should have taken energy. And that was a big mistake. And I would say in a half marathon, you can kind of get away by guessing fueling, but in a marathon, you cannot. And the thing with marathon fueling, it's meant to be proactive, not reactive. So don't take energy or your fuels only when you feel tired, weak, or hungry. By then, it's too late. So always remember, when you take fuel in a marathon, you're not giving yourself energy for the present moment. You're giving yourself energy for 30 or 40 minutes down the road. And that's something that I didn't really grasp in my first marathon. I thought because I felt okay right now, I didn't need to take an energy gel. But little did I know, in 30 minutes time, that thought would come back to haunt me. So think of marathon fueling like a budget. You're constantly spending, so you constantly need to top up, regardless of whether you feel tired or not. So for first-time marathoners, start early with your fueling. So what I do now is 5-10 minutes before every single marathon, I make sure I take an energy gel or I eat a banana, because I know 20 minutes into the marathon, when the adrenaline drops, I will have an energy kick. Stay consistent. If your plan is to take an energy gel every 30 minutes, stick to it. Don't skip any aid stations. Take a couple of sips of water at every single aid station, even if you don't feel thirsty. And I think this one is huge and something that I did definitely in my first marathon. So most beginner marathon runners kind of sort of ruin their marathon in the first 10K. Not at the wall, not in the last 5 or 10K of a marathon, but in that first 10K. And when I did my first marathon, I remember feeling pretty good at the start line. It was full of adrenaline, I was excited, I'd done all my training and I was confident. And I set out way too fast. I just thought I was feeling great and I just went way too fast. And I remember thinking in the last 10K, if only I'd gone a little bit slower at the beginning. So I think my biggest message to any beginner marathoner is when you set off on your marathon, go slower than you think. Everybody else may be darting past you. Ignore them. Conserve your energy for later on. Don't ruin your race before it's even started. The start should feel ridiculously easy. Your legs should feel really fresh, your heart rate should be relatively low, your brain should be buzzing but under control, and you should be running like you could run forever. So the first 10K should feel really slow, embarrassingly slow. If it feels really ridiculously slow, you're doing it right. Oh, the middle miles of a marathon. I call these the forgotten miles. Everybody talks about the start of the marathon, how to manage the wall, how to finish the marathon strong, and I will later on in this video. But nobody really talks about the middle miles, what to do, how you're going to feel, how you're going to tackle the 14 to 26 kilometer mark. So this is the part of the marathon where usually the crowd starts to thin, the music and the noise is fading away in the distance, and the route and the amount of runners next to you may have lessened a little bit. So you may be running these middle miles solo. And this is where usually the realization of what you're doing really sets in. And that can feel quite overwhelming at that stage as well. There's a lot of things going on in your mind, and you may not have the fellow runners or the crowd to push you on. And this is where the marathon can feel quite repetitive, quite monotonous, dare I say it, quite boring. I remember thinking in my first marathon, oh my goodness, this is long. I've already ran far and I've still got to run far. You do need to lock in, both physically in terms of your pace and your running, but mentally. You do really need to be mentally tough. So remind yourself of your mantras, your whys, your goals for your marathon at this point. And if you're concerned about the wall, which may or may not happen, now is the time to start preparing for it. Take your gels and take your hydration. And if you do tackle the middle miles correctly, you'll probably end up finishing the marathon strong. When I ran my first marathon, I thought I knew everything about the wall or bonking in a marathon. And I thought it was more about being physically fatigued. But I've learned since that the wall is psychological before it is physical. And it usually hits somewhere between 28 kilometers and 34 kilometers. And it can come on really quickly. It can come on really suddenly. You can be running along, the next minute, everything is overwhelmingly hard. Your legs feel suddenly heavy, your mind feels foggy, and you start to question everything. Why am I doing this? What am I doing this for? Can I carry on? Should I walk? Should I stop? Why did I sign up for this in the first place? I'm never going to finish. I'm not going to do this ever again. You'll be thinking all of these things. I recognize when the wall is now going to hit. After my first marathon, it hit me like a ton of bricks. But ever since, I have hit the wall, but I know when it's coming. It's when your mind starts to question everything. I know the wall is approaching. So at that point, I really do focus again and take energy gels, maybe an extra energy gel just to fend off the wall as much as I can. But here's the truth about the wall. Your mind will give up way before your body. It's been proven scientifically that you will be able to keep going on. So it's a battle with the mind is the wall. And I wish somebody had told me that before my first marathon. Fatigue and pain and weakness, which can come in the wall, but it was the mental side that really struck me by surprise, how quickly my mind gave up or started questioning absolutely everything, even the existence of me being at the marathon itself. Your legs will still work, your heart will still pump. Break the marathon down when the wall hits. Chunk it down. How long have you got left? If you've got 10 kilometers left, chunk it down into 2 kilometer bits. Chase another runner. Look at that lamppost in the distance and just get there. Basically, small targets saves marathons when you hit the wall. The final 10, 12 kilometers a marathon is gonna hurt. There's no question. You've been running for maybe 4, 5 or 6 hours. It's gonna hurt. Your hips, your knees, your shoulders, even your arms are aching. And it's not injury, it's not danger. This is just the marathon. Slight discomfort in a marathon is not a sign that you're doing something wrong, but you're doing something really hard. And I guess the mistake that beginner marathoners make is at the first sign of discomfort, they panic. They question whether that is an injury or whether they should stop, walk, or completely give in. Obviously, if you are injured or you feel unwell, seek the medical attention you need and stop. But there's a difference between real pain, real injury, and discomfort. Discomfort in a marathon is part of the journey itself. 90% of what you feel in the last 10K is absolutely normal. Oh, and that last 5K, this is where everything hits you at once. Discomfort, emotion, doubt, pride, fear, all at the same time. You'll see other runners walking, crying, pushing themselves like they've never pushed themselves before in their lives. This is the part of the marathon that you really, really, really need to enjoy. It will stay with you forever. In my first marathon, that last 5K was an absolute pain cave. I can't remember what it was like, but I know I didn't enjoy it. If you can, that last 5K should be savoured. Yes, you're going to feel discomfort. Yes, you may feel slightly in pain, but try and enjoy it. It will completely change your life. That last 5K will stay with you forever. Not the medal, not the finishing line photo, but the last 5K. This is why people fall in love with the marathons. Not because it's easy, but because it transforms you. So prepare yourself for that 5K. It's going to be emotional. So good luck. If you're running your next marathon, your first marathon soon, let us know down below in the comments. And if you like this video, don't forget to click on that subscribe button and give it a thumbs up. So until the next one, I'll see you very soon.